The pale moonlight of devotion. Aparos was a man of an inherited nature. He did not know why he tended the flock in their fields beyond the reason to ease his father's burden. He did not know why he sang songs or acted out comedies and tragedies if not to see his mother smile. He knew not why he traveled miles upon miles to see his brother, if only to lament and see how kin suffered akin. He knew not why he placed offerings to gods who took so many from them, but were those that held all at their whim. But his love was great, and his ability to care more deeply than the very seas. His capacity for selfless action bordered on martyrdom. The hills of his birth seemed evergreen, as if Persephone never parted with her mother Demeter here. Though he hadn't appreciated it well enough, and even still, felt it was wrong to leave. There was a time when he cared for the string of fate, the path a man was meant to tread toward his true self, but now he felt that he had gone too long without hope and allowed it to unravel. Perhaps he was cursed to never feel joy. Perhaps he had lost too much. Aparos could not smell the flowers. He could not taste what he cooked. He had been called handsome enough, but never felt it mattered. Kind and good, but it never did him any good. He could not be a stoic since his stone hide shattered, nor follow the way of Diogenes. He cared too much, and he didn't know what to do about it or when it happened. Aparos wanted to be content, though he could scarcely get out of bed. Wanting for nothing and needing for nothing meant he didn't have a dream to chase or even a purpose. Complacency was his poison, and he did not see hope on the horizon but a need to sustain the stagnant waters in which he dwelt. He couldn't die, but fear and desperation meant he was already past. Giving and being of use were the things that made him as close to living as was left to him. His looping thoughts would not cease for more than a few hours after his last lament. Lying in the sun or walking out in the darkness eased the madness. There was something about the cool night that brought back ancient instinct. Perhaps it was the feeling of being hunted. Aparos was not a decadent, nor one to deprive himself. He was not one for sloth, and he could not be roused into fury easily. No care for drink, and a strong enough will to never falter despite his apathy for death. He felt the grand potential like a bolt from Zeus poised to smite, but was aimless. He knew he had the capacity to be his own man and support a true love. That never trying was the greater failure. But that very notion stayed his feet. He could not die until his purpose was met. He felt there was a great work unfinished, that he was the golden glory at the hands of Midas, and it would be a crime to depart this world before seeing it done. Perhaps it was never too late. Perhaps someone would pluck him from obscurity and bring him this purpose. Night had him stir. He'd rot, but his mother needed water. He had dug out a pond from a spring and led streams to feed it further for the flock and family beneath the tall oak. This was a special place for him, not as much an emotional trap as it was an escape. Through the cypress he moved as his footfalls made the trail alongside the poppy and narcissus that bloomed by the water. A pair of jars were held upon a tried and sturdy branch slung over his shoulders. His mind often wandered into familiar pits and snares, so he did not recall the specifics of why he ventured out, but he knew the need and that those at home were waiting. He passed the still wild grove toward the spring he had a hand in making. There was a woman there dipping a leg into the clear and sparkling waters as moonlight cast downward like a veil. She was vigorous as she was beautiful, and had a short chiton that showed the strength of her legs. What hit Aparos was not lust or any sort of amorous fancy, but a pull that could not be explained. He was meant to be here. What was her story? She looked to be a wanderer, moving through the world while he was in place. His imagination bloomed with her story. where she may have come from, her deeds, and if she even knew where the wind would take her next. It was the most romantic innocence of adventure that sparkled his eye and touched his heart. The stories she could share, the great friendship to be had, a greater bond between souls. It wasn't courage he needed to speak, but the strength to try. Her look was of the wild. Its expression was that of a huntress. Her eyes were a pool of pale blue reflecting the green of the woods, and her hair was all the earthly tones a woman could have and changing with each tussle of the wind. The anxiety was gone. The looping thoughts quieted. The weight of the past and the fear of the future melted away for the present. Aperos felt human. He felt as though there could be a connection. To the world, to purpose, she could show him the way back to himself. This was the first time he wanted to try. The numbness had gone, and he caught her scent. He could even taste the sweet current of air. He was alive, felt more than he could conceive or contain, and it was frightening. But this was no woman. "You dare lay eyes upon me, mortal?" she said with a voice that was felt in the pit of one's being as the aura of crushing majesty spread like a second night. This was the fury of the wild with the power of Olympus at her back, a manifestation of aspects of the world condensed into divine form. Aperos was shaken to his bones and fell to his knees. This was the goddess Artemis, the chaste deity of the hunt, and this was her domain. What brought her to this little spring was unknown, but as much an honor as it was a terror. He saw something the deity never meant to show. It was something Aperos recognized within himself. There was a kindred suffering beyond the radiance. There was more than just a goddess. Artemis stood, removing her foot from the water, and readied her bow. "Your eyes gaze too freely, and the heart of a man is no mystery. Prepare to die for your folly." Aperos knelt and bowed, resting his forehead on the cold dirt. To witness a goddess in the flesh had humbled him, past respect, and led to groveling. "I apologize, great Artemis, mistress of the hunt. I only came to fetch water for my family and did not mean to disturb you. Believe me, please." To his surprise, no arrow came quite yet, though his fate felt tied to the will of this goddess. It was a proper feeling, as if he mattered. Be it judgment or ill will, someone had a notion toward him as a person, and not something in their periphery or in their way. A thread of connection that made his existence a shred less anonymous. This person had a reason to be there with him. It was not pity or duty. The goddess made her assumptions clear. "Your children?" she asked. "No, my mother and father. I care for them since our troubles have come as an unending wave. I comfort them and tend the flock as well as any other task where their strength fails." "And what of your life? The one I hold at my bowstring like the fates. Are you but their keeper?" "I admit I cannot abide life knowing they struggle, nor feel it palatable to continue without them. My brother tells me they do not need me, and he could care for them if they did, but I see the sadness from our losses and the loneliness. I will linger here while my purpose is clear." "And do you see your powerlessness in this hopeless struggle? Mortals suffer, as is their lot. I see only clinging fear from your devotion. They had long ago stopped needing you, but your need had never passed. Would they not wish you to live, find more comfort and joy knowing you have your own purpose?" "You see me true, O goddess of the hunt. I fear life, not living it, but failure to meet it. Failure to meet fate. I kneel not to save myself, but only as penance for gazing upon you. A dishonor of harming another or a moment of discomfort keeps me prostrated in the dirt. Your arrow would be welcomed, save the thought of who I leave behind." Artemis had appeared as a fair woman upon first glance, but now shone with the true radiance of a goddess. Aperos could not look upon her for fear of turning to dust. His promise to respect her modesty was what kept him from killing himself with her presence. You wish to manage their pain and not your own? Do you not see that it makes you unsuited to be even a tool? You seem a waste of an arrow, and not worth the strength and arm to draw my bow. What good are you in such a pitiable state? I can find purpose, if you would only believe. Tell me my strengths and shortcomings, and I won't fail you. I will give my greatest efforts to that of Heracles. I can be returned. I can be good again. Give me a boon, a word, pity if you must. Anything that can be grasped to escape this pit, or to cut the ties of this binding desperation. You wish for pity for your dulled edges, but do nothing to sharpen the strong blade you were given. I have nothing to give you that you do not possess. Give me purpose, a duty, a quest, a burden. I can be needed. Use me and see, goddess. Use me until there is nothing left. Take what you can, it's yours. I will not. Your parents suffer from a son without purpose, strong of body and heart, but a coward in spirit. Do you want your every step placed for you? Having your every move considered and leading toward the inevitable is a hell, if you ask me. Would you wish that? Even in service, unable to call yourself your own master? I would, if it meant appreciation. Belief in my word and my efforts is needed to support those I care for. You'd perform, lose yourself for pity. Every second you ruminate only delays the decision and all but guarantees a mediocrity you fear. You do not seek answers, but the excuse to release control. You would fit yourself in a box, and losing oneself is as good as death. Then kill me, O brave huntress, end my anxious toil and fruitless endeavors. You see me as no one has. My mother chastises me for much the same, but in her love she sees me as golden, or I am no more than this dirt I dwell in. She sees you with a mother's eyes. Their tenderness is both kindness and caging, while their words are both boon and blade. Her coddling is her weakness, but it's her right as your maker. Your place is not hiding behind her skirts. But I make her smile, I think. I make her food and give good company. Do you? She asked pointedly. Do you believe she is blind to your pain? Her wish to soothe is greater than yours. It is ingrained in her being. But you do not build toward a future while tethered to the painful past, but rot away. She fears for you tending to their world alone and being eaten alive once they are gone. She cannot die in peace knowing you suffer. Aperos did not know what to say. Tears filled his eyes as he hung his head. I'm sorry, mother. And what of your father? Does he enjoy knowing his progeny is here begging for death, weeping again despite knowing what it would take to rise from this pit? My father says I could be king or philosopher with my strength and keen mind, but herd sheep with those supposed gifts. Yet he would have me safe at home. Good comes for those who stay the course, he says. Patience and faith. But I can no longer believe that effort brings fruit, nor do I know what course to take. I wish to follow the trails. Would you guide me? I pity you, mortal. It would disgust me, this dread you feel of tomorrow, but the gift of prophecy is that of my twin. Instinct shows me you are as loyal as a dog, simple in your needs, willing to lose yourself and any integrity just for the shadow of love. I wish only to be held, to support those I care for and keep them from hurt, and enjoy what moments they can share. A wife who chooses me for what I am, and would match my devotion, and not resent me if I failed to give her the life she deserves." Artemis laughed. "A fool as well. Does a tree not thirst for water? You are the same as all the other mortals. I thank my wits for having escaped such trappings. What need do you have for validation? Does a song sound sweet only for the adulation of the crowd? What wife would want a lost puppy? A ship too timid to lift its sails? You cannot wait for another to mend what you are. You cannot expect another to love what you cannot. And I beg you, kill me. O Artemis, I gazed upon your form and saw you as you have seen me. Have hounds tear me to pieces, or turn me into a deer to hunt so I may have a purpose. What enjoyment would I gain from that? A broken animal is no hunt. A man who wishes to die who is fit of mind and body is not befitting of a mercy-killing, just as prey with no chase, no fight is unbefitting of a hunt. I see anxiety in those eyes. That is what form a beast takes in you. But along with it is despair. That is unlike the noble creature of the land. You are a bird who wishes not to take to the air, and not from lack of a strong wing or the struggle against a mighty wind. You will not fly, and I have no wish to explain. The man you'd become is one forged by your own hand, and love would find him, if not from others, then himself. But you refuse to even lift the hammer. Please, if not mercy, then pity. What is keeping me? Am I to be a mason or an artist, a poet or a pauper? Tell me I have no future, no skill, and nothing to fear from failure. Or my back is strong and my mind keen, and the path I need to take, I beg of you. No, said Artemis as she returned the arrow to her quiver. I have used what patience I have on you. Give me a chance, Apros begged as he crawled toward the water. Let me serve, allow me a purpose. Don't let me face the uncertainty alone. Artemis stood her ground as he fell into the pool and struggled to tread the shallow waters. The man was no wretch, and that was what struck her. He was strong, handsome, sharp-minded, and kind, but believed himself broken. No words would soothe him for long, and his need for acceptance was for an unconditional love that was unlike anything the Pantheon held. His was a loss of hope. She entered the waters and steadied him with just a hand upon his shoulder. His heart calmed its hammering pace, and his mind was no longer plagued by the looping thoughts of paths not taken, those ahead and what choices were right and what was meant to be. I vow, O goddess of the hunt, to serve you. Let this spring be a sanctuary to you. I will tend it until my last day. Let my strength stay with me until I reach its waters on my dying breath. Apros raised his head, and she was gone. The water had become placid, and the pale moonlight came down as a cloak upon the silent spring. He saw the full radiance between his hands, though forever out of reach. The gaze above was the moon in all its glory. Please return to me, be it 1 day or 1,000 years. His return home was fitful and aimless. The need to weep was kept at bay then, but would soon tear from his throat and quake through his body like Poseidon striking the ground with his trident. He would break once he met the faces of his mother and father, and again once he met his brother. Apros fell into bed, but sleep was fleeting as his thoughts were an endless cascade that fed on itself. Did he love Artemis? She was surely perfection, her beauty and power, grace and fierce independence. He would be a dullard not to love her. It was his fault the fluttering of his heart was absent, or the lust of man for her form. It couldn't be anything else, surely. It was the natural order of things to love the focus of your budding devotion, was it not? To share words with the likes of him. She must have cared. Why else speak to him? He could have loved her better than any other, true devotion. Was it just to have something of his own? He had so much already, more than he deserved. Was the illusion of love and companionship enough to sustain him? Could he know the difference now, or had desperation taken the ability to understand it altogether? Aperos chose the lie. With the moon above, he would never be alone. Its light held no warmth, and its lunar body was to remain untouched by him or any other. But there could be contentment in service, surely. Beauty and honor lay in commitment. Artemis would love no man, and was beyond him in every way. He could love without fear, for it would never be. No effort would win her heart, and every mistake was just mortal folly. He would never have to grow. Aperos went in and out of sleep for hours upon hours. His parents worried for him when he did not rise. Their words were wise, and he knew the truth in them. His long journey to see his brother was equally calming in mind and spirit, but could not ease the returning storm that came with every new day. The tragedy was that they were right, and he knew it. The spring he made became a shrine to Artemis. It would serve as a symbol for his love and proof of his worth. Aperos added stones and images in her honor, antlers and feathers, daily offerings of cypress branches, fruits and flowers. Songs were sung in her honor with the words of a poet. Carvings were made with the fine hand of a mason. He would stay near to carve a bow, search for stones to make arrowheads. He had no taste for hunting, and so never made an offering befitting of the goddess. Years passed, and the worship of Artemis grew steadily in the remote wilderness of his home, and followers came to the spring to worship their goddess. While humble in presentation, it was a symbol of devotion and regarded as a fine tribute. She did not appear to him, but he held hope and beseeched the fates, studied the stars for signs, and spoke with oracles who gave him hints of nothing but vague shadows to pin his dreams to. Years passed, and the shrine held a carving of the goddess fashioned by him from countless toiling days, work so fine it was attributed to some renowned sculptor and not the mad hermit of the woods. The surrounding paths bore her mark, but he struck down any settlement in her woods so that nature would remain. Aperos was known as a madman of the woods, who chased away any who dared to set foot in his goddess's domain. He became a creature of myth and whispered about to frighten anyone who dared venture near. Yet still she did not return. Decades passed, and Aperos was now old, but still vital and strong despite his weathered body. His devotion remained, but changing times and his violent efforts of insanity had left him as the sole man dwelling in those hills. His parents were gone. Followers and pilgrims traveled other roads. He alone tended the forest and kept his offerings even as he went hungry. Yet even still, Artemis would not return. It was a moonless night when Aperos felt his final moments dawning. He had not the strength to repair his fallen shrine or clear the woods of debris. The dilapidated symbol of his devotion faded into the background of the surrounding verdure. His tired frame descended into the murky waters, and it engulfed him to the shoulder. His head slumped back as he looked up to the darkness of the night. There were no stars, and as the coldness spread through him, all strength vanished.
O love of my life, beautiful goddess, why have you left me here without you? I have served you well, have I not? Was our meeting not fated? It must have had meaning, no? Not even a moon to guide me to Tartarus. I am a fool, but I kept my vow. Did you believe me? Did you remember me? Does it matter in the end?
The chorus sang a final lament. The man fed on false hope and mistook the pale rays of the moon for the warm embrace of the sun. The fear of uncertainty and a failure to live up to expectations became a self-fulfilling prophecy. He knew no love, nor felt the heat and splendor of true connection in pursuit of fantasy, and it destroyed him. He knew all along it was folly, and never doubted that the right path existed, but his fear and obsession kept him from ever taking a step so as not to choose poorly. He had never moved on from the fool who first beheld her. and thus severed his own string of fate from true purpose, acceptance, and contentment. Even the spring he had a hand in cultivating became stagnant, and was robbed of its potential from his scattered efforts. There was a true love out in the world who never knew her other half, but it was easier to pursue what could never be attained. Aparos died there. His bones sank to the bottom of the dried pool as a century dawned. The worship of Artemis faded into myth as the world moved on from even the eternal. No one would remember him, nor should they. But he died with her name on his lips and wondering if she would return as it all sank into darkness. There would be no dreams for him in the next life, for he had squandered this one with his devotion to unattainable fantasy and not his betterment toward new opportunity. Let fools drown in false hopes when freedom was as simple as letting go.